Hello fiends and collectors, this is me, Daniel East1000, back again with another Indiana Jones review. Today we're going to be going in uncharted territories, where I'll be taking a look at some vehicles that trickled out just after the release of Dial of Destiny, being released in theatres over the course of last year and this year. I'm no car or plane enthusiast per se, farther from it, but I thought these were quite cool because really I've been starved of indie merch since pretty much Hasbro killed off their figure line. It's been nice to try and hunt these down, and believe me, it's been a hunt, most of which I've had to source online. But that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to share the current assortment, unless by the time I've made this video another one's been released, of which is highly possible, then just get a feel of something a little bit different from what I usually collect. So starting off, these are produced by Matchbox, of which was a UK company, proud to support British. Assuming now that it's been bought by Mattel, it's more of an American outfit, and they've made a bunch of Indiana Jones vehicles. So these range from cars and road vehicles to planes, of which are within the Skybusters line of product. Two different assortments to recollect from. These are pretty cool. They are all, as you saw, Indiana Jones branded. I've kept them all in card because I have no real interest in uncarding them. It is also worth noting that in terms of the road vehicles, as we'll call them, the cars, there's various different packaging variants that you can pick up. From what I understand, there's three. There's two different versions of the card back, where it's a wider style where you actually see a picture of the vehicle on the card, and then the shorter style, of which I have here, where it doesn't feature a picture of the car, it is just literally the vehicle in the bubble. Alternatively, there's the rectangular prism box, of which is a more traditional classic style as to how vehicles would have been packaged back in the day. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's the thing that most collectors seek out. Could be wrong, don't quote me on that. I have no clue about car collecting and the various different chases and assortments that are within any of those lines. I'm not an expert. All I know is these have Indiana Jones logo on. These from Indiana Jones. To me, they cool. So starting off, if we go through it movie by movie, we have the River Flyer, as this is the first vehicle we really see in the first movie. To me, this is one of the most iconic Indiana Jones vehicles in the fact that it features the iconic scene where Indy makes his escape on this plane with Jock and says this iconic line.
There's a big snake in the plane, Jock! Oh, that's just my pet snake, Reggie! I hate snakes, Jock! I hate them! Come on, show a little backbone, will ya?
Quite an interesting fact about this vehicle as well. According to the actor who played Jock Lindsay, who is also a real-life pilot, Harrison Ford did something accidentally to the plane while filming, and as such this caused the vehicle to crash. So to repair this for the rest of the filming, apparently they ended up using some styrofoam from some of the set pieces of the temple to fix it, just to get the shots done. So that's kind of interesting to know. It's super cool to get a vehicle of this. All the Skybusters, I must add as well, come with a little playmat, of which is an aerial view of a environment. That's quite interesting, a very nice play feature that they've included there. This one, of course, features the sort of jungle that Indy explores in Raiders of the Lost Ark. Of course, got the notation of 70 years of Matchbox. Indiana Jones logo at the top there, and also the branding for Skybusters. Then, of course, you've got this blister packaging with the plane featured quite nicely, and that really allows you to get a good look at the vehicle. I know there's probably a lot of glare going on there, but there's some real nice detailing and sculpting gone into this. I am aware that Matchbox were the kind of budget-friendly equivalent, so an affordable way for kids to get vehicles and not have their parents pay through the nose for it, and from what I understand that's continued to today's standard. For what it is as a toy, this is really, really cool. And also as a collector's item, as an Indiana Jones fan, really, really nice and beautifully presented with that imagery of Indy just at the top there. And of course you've got that very sort of temple deco going at the bottom there, and the map kind of textured paper. Just very, very cool, very in theme, very on brand for Indiana Jones. Now, looking at the back, it's a bit of a sight for sore eyes. Just a ton of legal garb and legalese. No real notation about other vehicles in the assortment or anything pertaining to this particular vehicle. But no, if you have the packaging, you know, on display like this, it's going to look absolutely lovely. I think the actual playmat really makes the vehicle pop as well on that card. But naturally, most people will be opening these. I can't really comment on the quality out of packaging, but just looking at it, it looks relatively decent. So moving on, next up we have the MBX Airliner. Now, this is the plane that's briefly seen in Raiders of the Lost Ark that transports Indy and Marion via the map travel transition from Nepal to Cairo. And again, you've got the Skybusters logo at the top there, Indiana Jones, lovely imagery, and that map, of which really again does make the vehicle pop. If you can just see there, you've got the decal work going on the vehicle, Air East Asia. But that's just a really, really cool looking plane. Again, not too much detail going on with this one. Pretty damn basic stuff, but I think it looks pretty neat, and it's a nice little additional one to include in your collection. It's kind of interesting though that they didn't do the seaplane that transports Indy to Nepal, but then again, I guess they've kind of got a river plane in the form of the River Flyer here. So yeah, a nice little mix up. It's more of a, it's not wording with me right now, commuter plane. Is that the right word? Of course, this is, you know, a two-seater jobby commuter plane. Lots of people travelling on this thing. So yeah, that's pretty damn sweet. Again, nothing too detailed about this one. There's some nice bits of sculpting and paint where it needs to be, but it is very, very basic. Again, really nothing going on at the back of the packaging, and that runs throughout the line. But yeah, I thought that was it in terms of the planes to pick up, but no. I found out recently that there was another one, so I got my order in on eBay, and this has turned up the Ford Tri-Motor. This is seen in Temple of Doom, so the second movie. This is the plane that Dan Aykroyd's character, Art Weber, organises for Indy, Willie and Short Round's quick escape from China. However, as we find out, it's actually owned by the gangster that Indy's running away from.
Oh yeah, Jet! Nice try, Lao She!
And that detail is featured on the plane. They have actually included his logo just on there. It is hard to see. And it does look, in terms of the plane, very accurate to the one that we see in the film. It's quite small. It's really a cargo plane, but that looks very, very cool. And again, set off very nicely with that map playmat, which just serves as a lovely little backdrop for the plane. Just very, very cool. Again, not too much detail. There's some nice paint going on with the red. Something I think they could have maybe added in as a little bit of a joke, though I'm not too sure if Matchbox are known for including little additions like this. But if they put in the yellow lifeboat, you know, the little rubber dinghy, maybe some tiny little sculpted Indy, Short Round and Willie going on there, that would have been pretty cool, because they do use that as a way to escape just as this crashes into a mountain. Yeah, I don't think that's the usual thing that Matchbox would typically do, but that would have been a cool little addition if they did. Yeah, it's a plane at the end of the day, nothing too much to ring home about, for me at least. The thing I really like is the fact they did manage to put on that detailing with Lao She's name and logo. That's pretty damn cool. Doesn't just make it a quick cash in, and it does feel like, you know, a legitimate Indiana Jones product, if that makes any sense. But moving on, if we continue, like we said, film wise, we're now going into the cars, and this is actually the vehicle that Indy, Willie Scott and Short Round make their escape from Lao She in to get to said plane, the Auburn Speedster, or 1936 Auburn Speedster. This one, I would have to say, it was the first one actually released, as far as I'm aware, but I feel like the paint is a little bit janky on this thing. I don't know what it is, just the copper doesn't look particularly great on that cream, or it could be the cream, I don't know. But this one does look very, very basic. There's not too much decal work going on in terms of the side of the body. At the front, yeah, the headlights have kind of got some paint application there along with the grille. That looks pretty nice. But I don't know, the painting on that sort of copper looks a little bit janky, just to me. But nonetheless, this one is a very cool vehicle. Again, iconic to Temple of Doom, probably the most iconic vehicle in that film. You know, this is somewhat memorable, but this vehicle is actually the one that introduces us to one of the main characters in that film, Short Round, as he's the one seen driving around in this thing, picking Indy up from Club Obi-Wan.
Hey, Dr. Joe, no time for love. We got company.
And helping him make his escape. I really would have liked to have seen the mobsters' cars be made as well. So Lao She's cars, I don't know what make or model they are, because again, I'm not a car aficionado or expert. But it would have been cool to have two of those just to, you know, accompany this. Likewise, the rickshaw that Short Round gets very impatient with and ends up, you know, full throttling into the back of and shoving it out of the way. But again, I don't think that really fits into the brand of Matchbox. That's more my sort of toyetic thinking there. But yeah, this is the Auburn Speedster. I've really not got much to say other than that. The affinity with it is really from that scene, and it just looks pretty damn cool. Like I mentioned before, really nothing going on the back of these packagings, just dead. Just dead cardboard, really, with a bunch of legalese. Moving on, they didn't do anything for Last Crusade or Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Now, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull I can half understand, because I know Hasbro avoided doing anything for Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. But Last Crusade? I'm kind of doing that. But I can't even really think of a vehicle they could do for it. Like car-wise, I don't think Matchbox are really in the business for making tanks. They could have maybe done the tank, the car that Donovan drives around in. Or maybe they made the fuckable for these Skybusters. Maybe even the triplane. Planes at least they could do in, you know, something interesting with. But yeah, nothing. Got nothing for Last Crusade, which is very, very strange. Bit disappointing, that. And particularly King of the Crystal Skull. I know I can understand why, you know, like Hasbro, they avoided doing figures for it. I don't agree with it, but I have to just accept it. I can understand why Matchbox maybe avoided it as well, but you got to think there was quite a few cool vehicles in King of the Crystal Skull that at least Matchbox could have done vehicles for. There's a couple ideas there, but no, quite understandably they jumped in to Dial of Destiny, because that's really the film I'm guessing they were pitched to promote, because it is the new film. It's arguably the most relevant at the time. So what we got was two vehicles in the form of the Tuk Tuk, easily from the most iconic chase sequence in that film, whereby Indy and Helena Shaw take a pair of Tuk Tuks and a pursued Jürgen Voller in his car. This thing is really cool. I love the colour on it in terms of the aqua blue at the front there, and then the mismatched red. Like, this has been really cobbled together. You've got some nice decal work going on it as well, which is pretty damn cool. I think this is quite a unique piece as well, because you don't typically see Tuk Tuks. Yeah, this one's quite a sweet one. I think this is very unique in terms of how it overall looks. You know, the whole design of it is quite intriguing. And just to seal the deal, it's on that Indiana Jones card. I really like this one, and a good choice on Matchbox's part. Yeah, pretty cool. I like it. Then moving on, we've got kind of like the polar opposite, Ducati Scrambler, which is the motorbike that Helena Shaw jumps on to chase after Indy when he's been captured by Jürgen Voller. Yeah, it's just a motorcycle, nothing much to really ring home about, but looks pretty damn cool nonetheless. Not really too much going on with the paint or, you know, the sculpt in it is quite basic. I think if they were to do a Skybuster for Dial of Destiny, it would have made a lot of sense. It would have been a nice cherry on top of the cake if they maybe swapped this one out for the Heinkel 111 bomber that Jürgen Voller uses to time travel. That would have been really cool. I would have liked to have seen that, but again, I'm not too sure on Matchbox's stance with war and vehicles pertaining to it. With that being said, this current assortment vehicles, really interesting. I really like them. Like I said, I've kept them carded as they do feature quite nicely on my Indiana Jones display. Yeah, I really wanted to show those just because I've got an itch. I've got an itch for more Indiana Jones stuff. It's been a nice little side project to collect, and as such I really do hope they make a couple more. Like I said, I've mentioned a couple I'd like to see throughout this video, but I'm curious to hear what you guys think. What would you like to see them make? And have you been picking these up? Sound off in the comments down below and let me know what you think. And well, this is me, Daniel East 1000, signing out, and thank you very much for watching.